Welcome back in, everybody. I am back. It is Casual Thursday. Welcome in, Gone Racin, Brennan Gaughan, Mr. Jeff Motley. Jeff, I did go super casual today, but this is a South Point shirt.
And if people had no idea where you were last week, they can just take a look at your hat as you're continuing to rub our face in your little vacation to Fiji.
It was more than a little one. It was phenomenal. It was fantastic. It was everything that I ever thought it would be and more.
I appreciate the text pictures, by the way.
I did. I did send Motley a few pictures, and I was actually nice. Rochelle and I were actually going to set up the computer and do a whole staged picture on the pier, and then I decided I just didn't care.
Rochelle's nicer than you are, so that's why she said.
Actually, she's the one that kind of had the idea. I'm just saying.
That's even scarier.
Welcome in, everybody. Gone Racin. We are back in business today. I am a Casual Thursday, and once again, and back behind the window today, and we are back with the fun count-ins and the professionally unprofessional that we are. But Jeff, I'm going to have to say the race last weekend. I'm going to have to pause that to you because of fumble. I was not able to watch the race last weekend. I've heard NASCAR radio. Of course, I listen to my Sirius XM and driving to work and stuff. So I listen to Pete and Bagman. But all I know is Kyle Larson won, Ryan Blaney killed it and blew a motor, and Bubba Wallace almost came close to his first non-Super Speedway win.
Well, you pretty much wrapped it up right there. That got a lot of it covered. No, it was a good race from Homestead. Early on, it was the Ryan Blaney show. I mean, He really did dominate. In fact, I believe at one point he had a lead of almost 10 or 11 seconds on the field. Ooh. I mean, he was so strong. He kind of got mixed back a little bit in traffic. He was running around third or fourth.
Led 124 laps, by the way, that I'm just now looking of the 207 he competed in.
But then he ended up when he blew the engine. He blew an engine. I mean, this was not one of those where a little puff of smoke came out. No. He was a rolling ball of smoke.
The county of Homestead paid him for the fumigation of mosquitoes.
So much that when the car was towed onto pit road before it was moved to the garage, it was still on fire.
Oh, sweet.
That was so bad.
That's a big one.
It was a big one. But we saw two guys who were very, very strong and have got to be really feeling good about going forward on the mile and a halfs in Bubba Wallace and Alex Bowman. Bubba Wallace led for a long time late in that race in the third stage. Looked like he might have had a shot at it. About 20 laps to go. He kind of got just a little bit loose. Bowman was putting some pressure on him, slipped by, but they still ran pretty hard. But then Kyle Larson became Kyle Larson. And Kyle Larson, who we know has been struggling a little bit at the start of this season, he came on just like you'd expect Kyle Larson to do, past Alex Bowman. And when he passed him, there was no contest. I mean, Bowman couldn't really put up a fight, and he just drove away from him.
Somebody remind me, who picked somebody to be the disappointing driver of the season?
He didn't win, and I was thinking about that. So just hold on to your...
Hold on. Let me see the points here.
Let
me see the points here. Who is the first in points outside of race winners?
Is it Alex Bowman?
Fifth in points.
Okay.
4 people, 1 race.
Look, I will say he has definitely gotten off to a better start than I expected, but he still has not absolved me of that pick yet. There's still a ways to go.
Still a lot of racing to be done.
Still a long way to go.
Looking at the results here, the results say Ryan Blaney led a lot. I see Austin Cindric was 5th and 7th in the stages. Looked like Penske was strong, but in the end, Chevrolets took the lead. Toyotas. How about Chase Briscoe there too? I mean, looks like lot of guys that names in this top 10 that we didn't normally see. We've been waiting to see at least. Let's get to the odds though for Kyle Larson to win. He was plus 350. Top 3 he was plus 110. Versus Reddick, he was minus 140 versus Byron minus 155. He was Group A at plus 210, and the top Chevy was the favorite at plus 110, which does not surprise. Look, if I was on the show last week, you and I would have talked about the 3 guys that love to ring that top: Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Tyler Reddick. And if you go to the top 10,
before we get to top 10. It's amazing to me about, you mentioned Christopher Bell. Mm-hmm. Christopher Bell wins 3 races in a row, and now we've gone to 2 mile-and-a-half tracks that we know how important those tracks are throughout the season. And I'm telling you,
I'm looking.
They have been out to lunch.
Down a lap, 29th.
Did not run well in Vegas.
No, they did not.
Did not run well at Miami Homestead. So I'm not sure. Maybe we're going to a half-mile track this week at Martinsville. Maybe we see a bounce back from Christopher Bell, but I'm like, what on earth just happened?
Look, the racing is a fickle sport, right? I mean, you're on top 1 minute, outhouse to the penthouse type thing.
And vice versa.
Yeah. So right now, that does definitely show. But if we do get to the top 10, you'll see some guys that starting to finally bring it on. We got Alex Bowman there at plus 700 for a top 3. Bubba Wallace, 12-1 with a top 3. Had a chance to win. But look at the names. You and I have talked from the get-go, Jeff. Chase Briscoe. Knew it would take a couple weeks, right? Only 3-4 weeks into the season, though. 5 weeks into the season, there's Chase Briscoe with a 4th place finish. How about our guy Chris Buescher right there? And then when I finally got to log in the morning and looked, and I go, AJ Allmendinger 7th, Ryan Preece 9th.
Back top 10s for AJ Allmendinger on mile-and-a-half tracks in Vegas and at Homestead.
Colleague Racing looking pretty strong, and Justin Haley with a top 10 run. There for the.
You mentioned Ryan Preece, a 3rd in Vegas. A ninth at Homestead.
So RFK, Chris Buescher, and Ryan Preece both right there with strong finishes.
It's time for the boss to get going.
The boss is starting to get embarrassed here. The boss needs to step up. Looking at the points, even Ryan Preece got himself into the top 16 with that. So I mean and Chris Buescher's well in it, and nowhere to be seen is Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising right there that Brad Keselowski hasn't run better, especially given how well Buescher's running and how well Preece is running. And by the way, since you weren't here last week for me to pat myself on the back a little bit, if you'll remember after the Vegas show, when I guaranteed you there would be a double-digit top 3, do you know at Vegas all 3 of the top 3 were double digits? Just wanted to point that out to you. Top 3s were all double digits. Josh Berry won the race.
My memory, I don't know if my mind goes back that far.
I just didn't get a chance to pat myself on the back since you weren't here last week.
I mean, I wasn't here either to say that once again, none of us we're all positives, but I'm gaining. I'm just saying.
You and I broke even this week.
Did we break even? I thought I gained.
Because we got the same 2 right. Oh. The same 2 head-to-heads right.
All right. Well, if you look at the points right now, the points are kind of amusing. We have a 3-way tie for 16th. The last spot, of course, above the cutoff line. What would happen, Jeff? Would they go to a tiebreaker? NASCAR. Let's say we get to the last. I mean, this is just a hypothetical. It has nothing to do with gambling. But if they went to the last race at Daytona, the cutoff race,
okay,
and you had a tie for 16th, like we do now.
Okay,
would you go a tiebreaker number win?
It's clear, right? It's obviously if neither one of them have a win, it will be who has. I believe
it's first, seconds, and thirds.
I believe correct, but I think it's who has the most seconds.
Yes,
second places.
So they wouldn't do it. They would not make it a tie and put 18 in the playoffs.
No, this is not a Jeff Gordon, Martin Truex Jr.
Should we call like Steve-O and say, "Hey, what would that?"
No, I'm pretty sure there's a set tiebreaker system in there, and you're counting on that happening. I don't think
I was not. It's just amusing. If you look at the points right now, the cutoff line is John Hunter Nemechek, Ryan Preece, and Kyle Busch, all with 130 points. So it's kind of cool.
And right now, I don't know. We have number of top 5s, and they've all 3 got a top 5. I just don't know which one. Well, Preece has a 3rd place, I know. Finished 3rd in Vegas. So.
All right, I just want to point that out. I thought that was kind of amusing. We're heading now into the schedule. You look ahead. We got coming up first. We have, of course, the Cookout 400 here at Martinsville Speedway.
Some of the old speedways coming up. Some of the old time tracks coming up.
We got 4 in a row of the traditional old school of NASCAR. Matter of fact, 2 of the oldest. Martinsville Cookout 400, Darlington Raceway Goodyear 400, the throwback weekend. So that's going to be super fun watching all those paint schemes for that weekend. Bristol Motor Speedway, of course, the Food City 500. Food City, Jeff, they've been with you guys with SMI for.
I believe Food City is probably.
I remember in 2003.
I would say Food City, along with probably Coca-Cola at Charlotte, are the 2 longest running sponsors in all of Cup Series racing.
And one of the best activations. Anybody that ever's been to Bristol knows the Food City night they do there. Amazing what they do in town. Talladega, the Jackson Links 500, a new sponsor. And then, of course, the Worth 400, Texas Motor Speedway. So
you know who the happiest people are to see the schedule right now are those hauler drivers. They've been to Florida twice. They've been to Arizona and Nevada, and we're only 6 races into the season.
Hauler drivers looked at this and said, "Oh, we finally get to sleep in our own bed for more than one night." So
I've been to Texas too. I forgot they've already been to Florida twice, Texas, Nevada, and Arizona,
and back. Remember, people other than Vegas and Phoenix back to back, they go back.
Correct.
So definitely a long haul for them. So that's the look back. That's the look at what's coming up. Let's talk about Martinsville now. Some of the guys that have been good here. And Motley, when you get these stats in here, remember, twice a year, every year, forever. A lot of guys with races here. You look, Kyle Busch has 39 starts. Denny Hamlin has 38 starts. And you look at guys, Denny, 5 wins, 26 top 10s. Kyle, 39 wins, 21 top 10s. You get down to Joey Logano, 32 races, 20 top 10s. But you look at these guys with less. Look at Ryan Blaney right there. 18 starts, only 2 wins, but 50%, over 50%, 60% of the time, he's in the top 5.
Yeah, Blaney and Hamlin are the only 2 guys who have finished in the top 5 more than 50% of the races they've competed in. And even go down and look at the top 10. I mean, 67%, 12 out of 18 races, 67% top 10s for Ryan Blaney. And, a guy that's got a very small sample size, about William Byron. Only 14 races, 2 wins, 5 top 5s, and 8 top 10s.
I mean, there's some guys. Look, when you're good here, and first of all, William Byron and Hendrick, you and I both know what this track means to the Hendrick Motorsports team. So when you're driving a 24 or a 48 car and you go to the Martinsville, you have a lot of pressure, a lot of history, and a lot of weight on your back when you race there. So William Byron definitely steps up to that weight. And
probably one of the numbers that I find to be odd, freaks me out. Joey Logano has 32 starts.
Yeah.
He's only won once. 11 top 5s, okay, but 20 top 10s. So 20 top 10s in 32 starts, but only 1 win. And that win was a walk-off. Remember? That was a walk-off to get him.
There was one race where he was leading.
Well, he should have 2 wins. Matt Kenseth takes credit for 1 win that Joey Logano did not have. That's for sure.
Here's an over-under. You want to make a bet? How many times do we see that replay on an ad this week or before the race?
You think it's been too long now that they?
That's what keep showing that and the Hail Melon. I think are 2 things.
Well, they won't show the Hail. Well,
they'll show
TV
the Hail Melon. They show the Hail Melon.
You can't do the Hail Melon.
Doesn't matter.
Illegal.
Still one of the 2 of the most spectacular things ever. Matt Kenseth wrecking Joey Logano from the lead out of that deal, and the Hail Melon.
I remember time Martinsville destroyed Jeff Gordon's car. Maybe we hit the pothole in turn 3.
That's right. I was in that race. Saved me. All right, when we come back, we'll stop telling old war stories. We'll get into the odds to win Martinsville when we return. Mr. Motley, when we get counted back in, you know what always goes through my head?
What's that?
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
4.
And why do you think that?
Because the way our lovely Ann counts us back in. 3, 2, 1. That's the owl.
Oh.
Remember?
Okay.
The owl commercial?
Yeah, that's been a while for me. Yeah. I kind of remember that.
1, 2, 3.
You sound like Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes or something.
I know nothing. All right, guys, welcome back in. Brennan Gaughan, Jeff Motley. Sirius XM, we're sorry. If actually Sirius XM, you're lucky. You're not actually watching the Gone Racin podcast.
Yeah, they don't get to see your Fiji hat.
Brought to you by Dude Wipes. We haven't done a Dude Wipe.
Alex and I did not do a Dude Wipe.
What?
Last week.
You're fired. Dude Wipe's going to cancel their money on us.
Well, it wasn't in my script.
Needs to be in your bag.
Okay.
All right, let's get in, Jeff. We digress a lot. Let's get into the odds to finish first at Martinsville Speedway, and no surprise here after looking at those numbers we just spouted. Ryan Blaney plus 450 is the favorite to win this race. Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin are your next at plus 700. William Byron, Joey Logano at plus 800. Chase Elliott 10-1. Christopher Bell 18. Chase Briscoe 20. Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski 25. Ross Chastain and Josh Berry round out the first page at 30-1. Blaney absolutely deserved it. After looking at those numbers, Jeff, I mean, you got to say, yeah, absolutely. I cannot disagree with that.
Well, I can understand why he's the favorite out there to win. So I'm not questioning that. What I am a little surprised about is guys who we know are very capable of winning with really good numbers beside him. I mean, to me, 700 on Larson and Hamlin and 800 on Byron and Logano
are good numbers.
Those are phenomenal numbers.
10-1 on Chase Elliott is a great number. Chase has had a couple more 1-2 and got moved out of the way at the end of some of these races. So there are quite a few guys.
Yeah, he and Denny Hamlin had a disagreement, I believe.
He and Denny Hamlin have had more than one. If you go to the last 10 races, Denny, of course, has the 5 wins overall, but he has 0 in the last 10. That's what he's only 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s. So not what have you done for me lately? You go though, Chase Elliott, 8 top 10s in the last 10, 5 top 5s, 1 win, but Blaney, 7 top 5s in the last 10 races. 70%. That's just spectacular. But highest average finish, Chase Elliott, 7.2.
Well, and the other guy here, because I just think the number on him is enormous. 18-1 on Christopher Bell. Really?
Yeah, I mean, Seabell, if I give you the history, he's got 10 races, three top 10s, one top 5. That top 5 was a W.
Was a win.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying. He's won here, and I know it's a small sample size, but he's won here in the last 3 years. You know, he's 18 to 1.
2022. Last race, 2022.
And, which means that was with this particular car. So to me, 18-1 on Christopher Bell, if you're looking for some value.
But are you saying that, are we on the schneid with Seabell? You know,
look, he ran poorly on a pair of 1.5-mile tracks. Now, this is really what I consider to be our first true short track. I don't know how you classify Phoenix. When I think of short tracks, I think more of
Phoenix is not it. You put a short track package in it, but it's not a short track,
right? So, but look, you did win at Phoenix, but it's our first real short track, and maybe the 1.5-mile program is something they just need to work on and they need to get better on. I mean, honestly, if you look at it, a lot of the guys that were running for the Gibbs teams, they weren't as strong on the 1.5 is what we've seen.
And they weren't, but you know, Seabell, anywhere you go with Seabell, I still, just because he's had a couple bad races, I'm not jumping off the bandwagon.
Right. And 18-1,
that's a big number.
That's a big number.
It's a very big number. On. I mean, and yes, it's a win number, but Seabell has proven he can win anywhere we go. Well, so,
and before we get
hold on, how about, there's one I want to
another guy,
Josh Berry. 30-1.
And how good is he on short tracks?
You said, and you said it at Phoenix, and I went, poo-poo. And he was phenomenal at Phoenix. And then
he wins Vegas. And last week he got in, as you like to call it, a Hasselhoff on pit road.
Oh, did he get a Hasselhoff?
He got
a Hasselhoff with?
Well, it was really probably his fault, but he and Logano and Larson all coming out of the, and you know Homestead, you know how narrow that pit road is.
That's tunnel, baby.
Exactly. And
Homestead is tunnel.
And he kind of was one that pulled out and drove into the side of.
Pay attention to it.
He drove in the side of Logano's door, and it knocked him into Larson's door. And Larson ran the rest of the race with a hole in the side of his car and still won the race.
It let her out.
Yeah.
Right side?
No. Yeah. Yeah, right side. Oh, so that helped him. Okay. Either way, if Josh Berry doesn't.
Notice, if it would have been left side, they'd have covered it.
Okay.
Right side, it's letting her out.
Let it out. Well, let's just put it this way. Barry had a pretty good car at Homestead until that situation happened too.
So, I mean, if you're looking for a flyer,
nice number.
Josh Berry to me is a great flyer because as you pointed out a couple weeks ago, Josh Berry is, look, he came from the short tracks. He was a short track guy. That's what even got him here. So that is a good number on him. What about Ross Chastain? I mean, we always talk about the Hail Melon. Got a couple top 5s here, one of them with the Hail Melon, but are we back on, or where are we with Trackhouse right now? What say you on Trackhouse?
Well, I mean, we've seen both he and Suarez have some decent runs.
And we've seen both of them
have some poor runs. So I'm not picking him to win here. I mean, let's go see where he falls into a group matchup maybe this week. I'm not picking him to win.
All right. I was just looking at the finish last week. Hocevar, blew a motor, huh? Mm-hmm. Went out early. Anyway, second page of those to win at the South Point. Austin Cindric, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, 30-1, Chris Buescher, 40, Ty Gibbs, 50, Ryan Preece, also 50, Noah Gragson and Carson Hocevar, 80, Daniel Suarez, 100, and the field, which is 16 drivers, Jeff, is 20-1.
Yeah, I know there's 16 drivers in the field, but I'll tell you, in Martinsville, first off, we don't, other than Earl Ross, we don't get... I had to throw that in there.
There it is.
We don't usually get a lot of major upset wins. That does happen from time to time at Martinsville.
You get a guy that gets a first win type thing that you didn't, Bubba Wallace in the Truck Series got his first win there. You get some of those occasionally, but it normally is a lot of cream at the top of that.
But when I look at Tyler Reddick winning, that wouldn't be an upset.
Nope.
Bubba Wallace winning might be a little bit of a surprise, but not a horrible upset.
Surprise, but not an upset.
And if Chris Buescher won, I don't think anybody would call that a major upset.
I wouldn't.
And look,
Kyle Busch can still win anywhere if he
could. Kyle Busch can. And look, a guy who has literally been consistent
last 2 weeks.
is Ryan Preece.
Ryan Preece, 50-1.
And we know about his short track prowess from his days in modifieds.
He's the modified
and things
guy.
Like that.
Let's get to the top 3s because I think the top 3s may give us a little more enticement, let's say. Ryan Blaney is your favorite, plus 130. Then you go to Kyle Larson, plus 140. Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, plus 200. William Byron, 210. Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, 250s. Chase Briscoe, 350. Then a big gap, plus 350 Chase Briscoe, plus 600. Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch, plus 700. Josh Berry, Austin Cindric, Alex Bowman. Ryan Preece, 850 with Bubba Wallace and Brad Keselowski, all there. These come from DraftKings, of course. And that's a big gap right there.
Yeah,
that Josh Berry plus 700 is Josh Berry 700,
that is
Alex Bowman 700, Ryan Preece 850. Those are screaming my name right now.
Josh Berry at plus 700 is definitely jumping off the page at me. I love Josh Berry at plus 700 here.
Josh Berry is in the Woods brothers, but the Penske equipment. I'm gone last week, and all I hear is I look at the finish order. Austin Cindric had a great day, and then something happened. Ryan Blaney dominated. And
I think Austin Cindric got turned the wrong way on pit road.
Maybe that was. So I see a 5th and 7th in stages. Cindric's been running good. Penske's running good. Joey Logano's been running good.
Josh Berry might as well be in a Penske car.
Josh Berry is in a Penske car with the Woods Brothers tag on it, and he's won a race. You're telling me we're going to probably his favorite track on the series outside of Bowman Gray, or North Wilkesboro.
Right.
Josh Berry's plus 700. That's a huge number in my opinion.
Yeah, and when I look at that whole top of the board there, plus 700 on Josh Berry, no question in my mind, that's the one I like the most.
I might have to bet that one this week. I've been staying away from the top threes lately, but I think we may have to jump back in them this week. Let's get to the second page, and great numbers here too. Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher, both at plus 900. Ty Gibbs, 11. Noah Gragson, 16. Daniel Suarez, 22. Carson Hocevar, 28. Austin Dillon, 30. Cole Custer, 35. SVG, 40. Todd Gilliland, Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, and AJ Allmendinger, all at 50. Justin Haley, 70. Zane Herbst. Zane Smith and Riley Herbst at 80-1. And they're good friends, which is really funny. They grew up together. On this side of the page, I'm just going to focus on those first two guys named, that Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher.
Well, I definitely like the Tyler Reddick and Chris Buescher. No question, plus 900. I love that number on there. The other one that it's just because it's a really big number, but this guy's been running pretty well lately, and this is a kind of track where I think he does well. 50-1 on AJ Allmendinger. Now, I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to go bet it, but like if we came in here and if we sat down in here next week and we saw that he came in third at 50-1, I wouldn't be sitting here saying, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that."
You know
happened.
what I used to always say about Martinsville? Road course racers were great at Martinsville. You know how to modulate your brake pedal. You know how to hammer the brake pedal. You know how to get off the brake pedal. You know how to do threshold, trail. And Martinsville has a lot of that. And the Dinger, of course, is one of our greats on the road courses. So I don't dislike that. I do kind of look at that and say, makes me think. If I'm looking for a couple flyers, that Josh Berry 700 is a flyer that is not a flyer. The AJ Allmendinger at 50-1 is not a flyer. And I want to go back one page. The Josh Berry thing. This race last year, when he was at not Woods Brothers, when he was at Stewart-Haas, he finished 25th. Not good. 9th and 10th in the stages and led a couple laps.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly is capable there.
And those cars were terrible last year, if you remember. I mean, it was a bad season from start to finish.
Yeah, the one thing that concerns me when we talked about Allmendinger is sometimes when you don't have one of what we would call the big powerhouse teams, you can lose some spots in the pits. And losing spots in the pits at Martinsville,
Martinsville
was a lot worse than losing it at another track.
Kaulig is not. I wouldn't put Kaulig in that realm of not a great powerhouse team. They got Ray Wright and the RCR guys that they're Ray Wright pit stops for Ray Wright.
And Chris Rice, what he's done with that whole
they don't have bad pit stop. I mean, hell, I bet you look at the history, Denny Hamlin has more bad pit stops. Joe Gibbs has had more bad pit stops in the last couple of years than Kaulig and RCR.
Yeah, I don't think they want us to be putting their track record up against anybody.
I'm not going to advertise that one because that one they're not going to be happy with. All right, when we come back, we're going to spend a little bit more time with head-to-heads when we come back in the next segment because, of course,
there's some good numbers in head-to-heads this week.
But this week, we got some great head-to-heads. We'll get to odds, the group matchups, and all the rest, and I'll make a couple more Fiji comments when we come back from Gone Racin'. See you soon, guys. Welcome back to Gone Racin' in stereo back there. The entire pit crew behind the glass giving us the.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what that one's.
I think they're trying to do a car like going around the track.
Speed racer or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome back in. Gone Racin. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan, back from Fiji. Did I mention that?
Thanks for reminding us.
Don't worry.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm fresh. I'm fresh back from Summerlin.
I did have kava while I was there, which that was a very bad decision on my part.
What is that?
It's a Fijian drink that actually is not alcoholic. Like they gave Ryland Rice, the 14-year-old son of Rochelle. He actually had some. Got it on video. It's pretty funny. But it has. I'm not going to say psychedelic effect. It make you sleepy.
Oh,
make you it mellow you out.
Well, that's not bad if you take it at night, drink it at night.
Yes. They drink a lot of it though, and it makes your tongue numb, lips numb, tongue numb. It was.
Remind me when I go to Fiji not to partake.
You got to. It's part of the Fiji. You got to have at least one bowl of Fiji, and it's only served in a coconut. It's a really weird thing. Anyway, let's get to the head-to-heads because we were bragging about how much how these head-to-heads are this week. And Jeff, here's a funny thing. We got head-to-heads this week. You have guys with the name of Denny Hamlin on a plus line. You have guys the name of Kyle Larson on a plus line. You have guys the name of Christopher Bell, 3-time winner this season. Christopher Bell on a plus line. There are great numbers all across this board.
Incredible numbers across this board. Now, one, if you're going to take Larson, Hamlin, Byron on a plus line, you're taking them against Blaney, who is the favorite to win the race. But I mean, it's plus 130, plus 130, plus 130. Is Blaney that much good of a favorite over those guys? That's surprising me. And you mentioned Christopher Bell being plus 120 over Joey Logano. To me, I think that's a great number as well.
I like the Kyle Busch. Look, Bubba Wallace has been running great. Kyle Busch is, hit and miss, but you're still getting Kyle Busch. I mean, it's Kyle Busch plus 120 versus Bubba's minus 140. And let's remind you about the Kyle Larson thing. Kyle Larson to get a top 3 is plus 140 on DraftKings. He's plus 130 on a head-to-head. So he didn't have to be top 3 in the race. Just beat Ryan Blaney, and he gets plus 130.
Kind of hard to pass that one up.
No. I would not bet the don't line against Blaney, but I would love to take, Larson or Denny on against him. I really like the Kyle Busch. I love the Seabell versus Joey Logano. Especially if you take Phoenix, which we call a short track, call it short track-ish. I think there's some amazing numbers in there that I wouldn't do William Byron versus Blaney, but I do like the other ones.
Don't disagree with you. I think I'm in agreement with you on all those.
I might have 3 head-to-heads this week just because it's...
Well, and I may definitely be a little heavier on head-to-heads than I'm used to doing this week, too. And, the other plus one, we didn't mention it, Brad Keselowski plus 110 against Alex Bowman.
I would take the minus 130, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet that one, but it's just the fact that, again, you get a guy that's got a lot of laps around Martinsville who's shown some success there.
Let me give you a Brad Keselowski stat real quick. Not terrible. 4 top 10s, 3 top 5s, last 10 races.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Bowman is better, but not
is he
that much
minus 130 better?
No, he's not that much better.
No, why would you bet minus 130 on that? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe I wouldn't snap on that 130 quite as quickly as I was a second ago. All right, let's get to our group matchups. Group A, we're going to kick off Group A with, this is always a tough group, but look at this enticement. You've got Ryan Blaney plus 170. Ooh. Kyle Larson, 315, William Byron, 320, Denny Hamlin, 320. The only bad part is on the enticement of the 315, 320, 320. I like all of them.
Well, you could bet all of them, and as long as one of the 3 wins, you come up in the positive.
Yeah, barely.
Barely. Well, it's about cashing tickets, right?
It is about cashing tickets.
You still turn out in the positive if you bet all 3. I mean, you got 3 guys against 1 right here.
You do.
Now, I'm not going to go and do that, but I'm thinking if you're a person that says, look, I want some, I don't know, guaranteed. There's no such thing as guaranteed cash, but I mean, that's a lot to put on Blaney to be able to overcome 3 guys that are all more than plus 300. What I couldn't tell you is which one of those 3 I like, but I do like one of those 3 beating Blaney.
I'm not angry with this, but Blaney 170, that's a little high against the 3 of them. I mean, I get that you have him as the favorite, but that's a pretty high number in my opinion. I don't know. I just don't know on that. Let's get to Group B. I'm not betting Group A. How's that?
I'm not either, but I could see why somebody would do what we were talking about.
Group B, Chase Elliott plus 210, Joey Logano 235. I love these last 2. Christopher Bell 315 and Chase Briscoe coming in at 340. Here's the deal. Chase Briscoe, 8 races, 5 of them top 10. Average finish 12.6. But even at Stewart-Haas last year, which was not great, 10th place and 15th place. So Chase Briscoe just coming off the run that we had last week. You and I both been high on Chase. But
did you hear his interview he did a week or so ago when he said that the way the cars are set up at Gibbs are totally different than anything he's ever driven, and he is trying to get himself acclimated to the way they set up race cars at Gibbs. And he's 6 races in, and so he's getting more comfortable. But this is his first time at a place like Martinsville with a completely different type setup race car. I am not in on Chase Briscoe this week. Now, Christopher Bell at plus 315.
I love that too.
That's a great number
there.
To
look, where was Chase Briscoe a couple weeks ago? Oh, accident. Oh, Briscoe was in that accident on the front straightaway at Phoenix. But I thought he was running pretty good right before that.
I like Bell. I like Bell a lot here.
You like Bell with 315? See, you and I always talk about betting and enticement, right? What the odds makers are trying to do is entice you. I look at that Chase Briscoe at 340. Chase Elliott, we've said for a long time, I'd love to have that slump, right? The Chase Elliott slump that he has, because he's still finishing every week in the top frickin' 10. He's still finishing, great every week, but it's just not putting up phenomenal numbers. I mean, Chase Elliott right now is where's he at in points? He's 7th. Would love for that slump. Logano, we talked about him. He's great here, but that something about Chase Briscoe last week. Maybe he's not used to it yet, but maybe he just got used to it. That's enticement to me. I'm liking that 340.
No, I'm in on Bell there more so than I am on Briscoe, but
both are good returns. Both are good returns.
They're good returns. And Logano, look, that team's got to figure something out. Are we not 6 races in with no top 10s now? For the defending champ, at some point they got to turn something around.
Well, and that's they're the Penske team that's been struggling. Amazingly enough, Josh Berry's got to win. Cindric actually has been looking pretty good. So Joey
and Blaney had a great car until it blew up last week.
Yeah, no, Blaney was, as everybody said, dominated. Let's get to Group C, because I think you and I are going to actually agree on something for a change. Alex Bowman plus 240, Brad Keselowski, Ross Chastain 270, Josh Berry plus 295. Top and tail here for me, Jeff. I'm either on Alex Bowman or Josh Berry, but the middle two I'm throwing out.
Well, and I'm in total agreement with you in the fact that Josh Berry is the long shot at plus 295.
That's where I'm leaning.
Give me some Josh Berry. I'm all in on Josh Berry here. No question.
If we had, when I was with Pete Pistone on Fantasy Racing Preview on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, we had that lock of the week. To me, that 295 in this group would probably be my lock.
It's the closest one that I've got as well.
Alex Bowman spooks me a little bit. Because Alex Bowman, is good here, and it's a Hendrick car. It's hard to go against him. But that 295 Josh Berry, I'd love to see. Well, if that was 305, I'd be on it even heavier.
And that Wood Brothers car is such a Penske car.
Yeah.
How good are Blaney and Logano here?
Phenomenal.
And how good is Josh Berry on short tracks?
Phenomenal.
Josh Berry Group C all day. I don't even have to. There's not much analysis to me for this group. It's why isn't Josh Berry the favorite? Is the only question that I ask. We're going to
go for my lock. I think Jeff Motley and I will also agree on this one, this is Bizarro Day. I bet you we agree. Austin Cindric, 255. Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, 270. Bubba Wallace, 275. Are you calling this your X group, Mr. Motley?
Well, I haven't looked at E and F that closely yet, so I could have multiple X groups. But how do you handicap that one?
I can't. Tyler Reddick and Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace. They're put a blanket over them. The odds are so tight right there, very hard to differentiate. But I can give you stats on each of these guys that are going to be so tight because Kyle Busch. We can talk about what he's done in the past, talk about what he's done now. If you had Kyle Busch 2 years ago in Group D, you and I would have laughed and said, done. Tyler Reddick, one of our best drivers. We love Tyler Reddick. He's in Group D. Normally we'd say, great. But
Martinsville's not a place he set the world on fire.
2 top 10s. 10 races. Average finish 20.
Honestly, if I had to pick one, I probably like Bubba here. If I had to pick somebody, he's the long shot,
I would probably pick Cindric just because of Penske, what I've seen Austin do, because neither him nor Austin Cindric has 6 races. I need to blow up my screen a little bit. There we go. That way I don't have to put readers. Whoop. He's got 2 top 10s, 1 top 5, and 6 races, where Bubba, average finish 13.9. Austin average finish 17.7. But only one top 5 in 10 races, where Austin has 1 and 6. Still,
I guess if I had to pick one, because to me, Cindric and Bubba are so close together, you get better odds.
You get better odds on Bubba.
Give me Bubba, but again,
it's my X group.
Really like this group.
That's my. I said we're going. You and I sadly are going to agree on 2 in a row. All right, let's get into Group E here, and we got Noah Gragson and Carson Hocevar, your co-favorites, at 250. Daniel Suarez 285. Austin Dillon 290. You know,
Noah's been running better lately. He's finished just outside the top 10 a couple weeks in a row. Certainly been running better. I know this is a different kind of racetrack. He's won in the truck series here at Martinsville.
Yes, he has. But to me, other than last week, which once again I didn't get to see, he's dead last on the group, but he shows a 9th place in stage 1. Carson Hocevar has proved to me he is not a Group E driver lately, Jeff.
No, this is a tough group too, because I don't like Dillon here. I don't like Dillon, but Gregson's run better. Hocevar, I think, has probably surprised everybody all season long by how well he's run. And Suarez, I mean, I don't know how to figure Suarez out. Some weeks it looks like, hey, he's turned a corner. And then another week. To me,
it's the Trackhouse conundrum I got. You don't know who's showing up. Now, if you look at Daniel's stats, 10 races, 0 top 10s, 25.1 average finish for Daniel. So that leans me right there. I know it's the co-favorites, but Hocevar, to me, this season, Hocevar has been fantastic, Jeff. I mean, Carson Hocevar was in the points a couple weeks ago, in the playoffs a couple weeks ago. This win, that last place finish, knocked him out.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, he certainly could win this group.
Gotcha. All right, when we come back, we'll give you the last group, the manufacturer props, and then brag about our picks to win that we've been kicking butt on, except for one of our groups. We'll tell you when we return. And we have the echo on this one here. I like that one. We welcome back in, Gone Racin, Brennan
Sounded
Gaughan.
like a sneeze back there.
Is that dude wipes?
Dude wipes?
But she sneezed. She needs a dude wipe. A little wet, but it'll be okay.
I don't think it was a sneeze. It just sounded like she said, "Dude," like it sounded like a sneeze. See, they don't get to hear this. What we get to hear in the studio.
They don't get to see it or hear it, thank God. Welcome back in. We're wrapping up our final group, which is Group F. And Group F, Mr. Motley at the Martinsville Speedway is AJ Allmendinger. Ooh, how about this for a group? AJ Allmendinger and Justin Haley, co-favorites, 265. Eric Jones and Todd Gilligan at plus 270. And this is, I personally believe, we talked about this earlier.
I think Dinger could be a good bet here. I know he's favorite, but I still think he's a good bet here.
Eric Jones, I didn't get to see last week. We've talked a lot about where Legacy Racing is. I see Eric Jones was 15th last weekend.
And John Hunter would be in the playoffs if the playoffs started.
John Hunter is eked his way into the playoffs right now, but I really do like that. Just like you said, AJ's on a 2-race top 10. That Colleague car has been running pretty good. AJ's feeling pretty good. I saw him at the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame here at the South Point the week in Vegas. He is feeling good, looking good, happy. That's...
Yeah, I think if I had to go pick somebody in this group, I'm not going to pick this group, but AJ Allmendinger would definitely be the guy that I like right here. Haley got a top 10 last week, and Haley's a good little race car driver.
Great little race car driver.
Know. And Eric Jones.
That team is just so inconsistent. You can never know when they're going to hit.
Gilliland can surprise you. You just,
No, but, you've been high. You've been high on Gilliland. You crushed me a couple weeks ago with your Gilliland pick. Right. But I really
not here though.
I like the Dinger.
I like the Dinger here too.
I like the Dinger a lot here. Okay, let's get to our manufacturer prop. And actually a little bit of a surprise. You have Chevy as your favorite, no surprise, plus 130. But how about second place in the running? Ford at plus 180, and your Toyota is plus 220.
Well, in your Ford, you're sitting there at 180, but you've also got the guy who's the favorite to win the race in Ryan Blaney. Not to mention, we know the success Logano has had here. And we know that Josh Berry could have a strong run here. Definitely interesting to see Ford at 180.
But you're telling me the guy who's won more times here than anybody, Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell.
And I'm high on Chase Briscoe.
And you're high on... Well, we know how well Martin Truex has run at this track in that car.
Plus 220.
Look, there's some enticement on the manufacturers, and it's not to pick Chevy.
It is not to pick Chevy. Now, They're the favorite for a reason. Let's be honest. I mean, Chevrolet is plus 130 for that purpose, but still plus 220. I mean, when you really talk about Toyota drivers, you're getting Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, all guys that have been, can and have been winning. These are you got some big ones there.
No, I agree, and I think
and I didn't name Christopher Bell, the guy who's the hottest guy of the season.
Right. So I think plus 220. I think it's a good number for Toyota.
I might have to dip into that. Might. You took the pen before I could write my last one down.
Would you like the pen?
No, it's okay. I just was saying. I saw that way. I have a blank run there. I might pick that one. I might.
All right.
Might. Let's get into the championship odds real quick. Once again, folks, for those that aren't regular bettors in NASCAR, it's called future betting. When you bet a championship, just like you bet the NCAA tournament national championship or a Super Bowl winner early in the season, it's a
futures.
It's a future bet. It's a way to hedge your bet, and there are still some great ones. Josh Berry moved from the week before to this week because 2 weeks ago to here. He's at 50-1 now.
That's still a pretty good number on Josh Berry, a guy who's shown he can now run well on the mile-and-a-half tracks, and we know how good he is on a short track.
And here's the deal. This is why it's called a hedge. You put $10 on a Josh Berry. That's a $500 win. Gives you the room to hedge down the road later in the year. But there's still great numbers. To me, your reigning champion. What's his name again?
Joey Logano?
Yeah, Joey Logano. Joey Logano. What did he do during the regular season last year?
He's going to have to start getting it going,
Yeah, but what did he do last year? Not a damn thing.
Well, he got himself into the playoffs.
But he didn't do a damn thing, basically, to his repertoire. What did he do in the playoffs? Destroyed him.
Kick butt.
And he is still 15-1 right now. I just got to look at some of these and say there are some great numbers on long returns for...
Well, he's the closer. I mean, he's new closer. At least closer on the season.
He is the season closer. He does do that extremely well. So... with that, we get into how we did last week. I was not here. How did our girl fill in? Did she win? I know we don't.
Alex decided not to do picks.
I'm very chicken. That's it. Next time I see Alex, I'm yelling at her.
I'm very disappointed in that the couple that I was really high on last week. I was high on Byron, which Byron still had a good run last week. I was high on Suarez last week because he had run so well in Vegas. The problem with Suarez is that he spun coming onto pit road and lost himself a bunch of positions, or he would have probably won his group. So she didn't make any picks, but she did a great job as a co-host on the show, and I felt bad that I gave her a couple picks. I think she might have gone and put 5 units down.
And they were not winners?
They were not winners. So
you were plus 1.35 units last week with the Reddick versus Blaney and the Byron versus... You did the don't line, basically.
Right, and the question is, should we do the don't line on Blaney again this week?
It could be. And apparently you and I had the same, huh?
Exact same, too,
How
that we got
that?
right.
So we both got the 1.35. You at 19 in the pit crew last week. They did end up negative for the day, but they did get a win in one of their.
They got the same Reddick over Blaney.
We
all three got Reddick over Blaney.
So we didn't do that. Once again, the Gone Racin is not a jinx.
The thing about it is, if you watch the first 2 stages of the race, there was no shot that we were winning. We were winning that bet. And when Blaney's car blew up, I think he ended up dead last.
Gone Racin. We produce winners. I'm just saying.
This is true.
When we all agree it's the old SI jinx, we're the opposite. If all 3 of us pick you, it's a lock. On the season, though, we're all doing pretty stellar. Jeff Motley, still leader in the clubhouse, 19.45 units. Great start to the season, Mr. Motley. I am 9.6, almost to my double digits, well below my Mendoza line of 100, but it's still early in the season, only 6 races in. And the pit crew still hanging tight there, plus 5.25 units. So we're all sitting pretty on our picks for the season so far. Looks pretty good.
Yes, I think it's great. I mean, listen in and win some money.
We go worst to first here, which means the pit crew is in their usual spot, which is the hole. So, and didn't like that one. We'll kick this off with Busch for a top 3. Kyle Busch plus 600 top 3. Alex Bowman top 3. I like that one. Brad Keselowski top 3 plus 850. They didn't listen to our show today. Larson versus Blaney plus 130 and Hamlin versus Blaney plus 130. They are both taking a don't line on Blaney again. It worked last week. See if they can do it again.
Their picks.
Man,
And by the way, we need to point out one thing that the pit crew did last week that is a very rarity, and the fact that they lost it. They picked 2 drivers in the same group.
Oh, did they?
On purpose, and lost it. And what is really sad is I picked yet a different driver in that group.
You're telling me that on Gone Racin', with me gone, without the leader of the clubhouse gone, you guys picked 3 out of 4
clubhouse
in a
are you
group,
leading right now?
and the other one lost.
Well, the other one won. Yeah,
I mean,
they all
won.
3 lost. Yeah, that's correct. In Group B, I believe I took Christopher Bell, and the pit
sorry,
crew,
folks. I know when I'm not here. I get it. I apologize.
I took Bell. The pit crew took Chastain and Elliott,
and you all lost.
and we all lost. And I can't even tell you who won it.
Terrible. All right, my picks. I'm going to go with 2 head-to-heads this week. I am doing Christopher Bell versus Joey Logano. I'm not doing the don't line plus 120, but I am going don't. I'm taking Larson versus Blaney. Kyle Larson plus 130. It's just too. You can't leave that laying out there. I am going to go into 3 group matchups. No top 3s for me this week. I am going to start with my Group B. I know you like Seabell, but I'm going to try to get ahead of the curve on Chase Briscoe, plus 340 in Group B. My lock, that Group C of Josh Berry. I love that one at plus 295. And then I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I could either go AJ Allmendinger or Carson Hocevar. I'm kind of torn. I really want to do Hocevar, but he's only plus 250. So I'm going to go to Group F and take AJ Allmendinger for the Group F win.
All righty. Well, you and I are going to definitely agree on 2 of those picks. That you and I will have 2 of the same. But I'm going to do something I do not do very often.
Oh, pick a winner.
I'm going to pick a winner and a top 3.
All right.
So I'm going to pick Christopher Bell at 18-1 as a winner.
I don't dislike that.
And I feel like I can do this because I have a big lead. Right? I feel like I'm playing with some house money right now. I'm also going to take Josh Berry for top 3 at plus 700.
Going a little early on that theory, just saying.
And I'm going to go 2 head-to-heads. I'm agreeing with you on the Christopher Bell over Logano. I'm actually going to do the Denny Hamlin over Ryan Blaney. But I think you could. I mean, all those are good ones.
Yeah.
And then, as I think I've said before, Josh Berry, Group C. I like that one maybe better than any of the picks that I got.
That's a pretty big lock.
I really do like that one.
The last I was in studio a couple weeks ago, I did a brilliant job of getting us out of the show on time for Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. As I was mid-sentence, and basically everybody looked at me and I went bye because I had the wrong block up.
Now you have a minute and a half.
Now I have like the biggest 20. You can't
a minute, maybe less than a minute.
Got it. Now. But Mr. Motley, we do have some big news for this show. You and I have been friends for goodness gracious, almost 30 years.
Yeah, 20, 25 plus, now 26.
And it all started at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And of course, we talk about this show being our show, but Mr. Motley, an era has ended.
Yes. So I just worked my last NASCAR race, the Pennzoil 400, and my last day officially at Las Vegas Motor Speedway is Friday, which if you're listening on Sirius XM, it's probably either today or was 2 days ago. But if you're watching live on our South Point studio channel. So I am moving on to be the Chief Media Officer for Position Sports here in Las Vegas, and we're going to produce some of the major sporting events here in town. And it's been a great run at the Speedway. The great thing is we're going to continue to do Gone Racin'. Gone Racing's not going anywhere, so I'll be able to keep connected to the sport a little bit as we do this show each week. And I'm going to be here. I've got all my friends and everything.
We're all still here.
Just going to be a little bit of a different job. So I'm excited. Best to all my former coworkers, and looking forward to the new adventure.
On behalf of former drivers and current drivers, myself, thank you for all you did for us over the years. You and I, it was real, it was fun, and actually more than often, it was actually really fun.
Really fun. It was really fun.
Thank you for all you do for us, and for you guys at home, tune in next week when we see how good or bad we were, and we'll talk to you later, guys. Have fun.